Hey mama, are you a multi-passionate mom who is juggling all the things, nursing a baby, battling laundry, trying to keep it together and keep a spicy marriage, and feeling like you're feeling all of it? What's up? I'm Ashley Carroll. I'm here to hold your hand through this process because I believe when you're ready to take control of your life, beat the limiting excuses, step into your own power, you can not only survive, but you can thrive. But you're gonna have to show up for yourself. It's time for me to tough love your way through prioritization, taking self-care seriously, getting rid of excuses, reconnecting with your family, kids, and spouse, and quite honestly, learning to love the chaos because the glory is in the journey. It's in the mess. In this podcast, you will find balance for busy mamas, navigating mom guilt, time management strategies, and everything in between with no fluff and lots of fun. Let's go. Hey guys, day 2 of the Couples Love Language Challenge. I'm in here in the morning, which, you guys, either the enemy's at work or like this is just mom life to a T, and I'm showing up for you guys in the realest way possible because last night, if you were live with me for day one, I know what number this is, my kiddo woke up at 9 when my live started and screamed for like 15, 20 minutes. So the whole time I was teaching, I could hear him in the background with my husband. And then so I was like, you know what, today I'm going to show up during the day when he's napping and all the rest of the family are out of the house. So I don't have to worry about being quiet. I don't have to worry about like keeping my hype down. You know, I don't have to like mess with all that. He woke up at 2 a.m. He was up like all night off and on, then woke up for real, like around midnight, like 11 to midnight, somewhere in there. It's all blur. Stayed up till 2, finally went to sleep at 2. And then I had to wake up at 5. I woke up at 5:15, but to get my older kids' lunches ready and to get them ready for school. Anyways, I'm here. It's going to happen. It's going to go down. So the reason I wanted to do it today is because I want to be able to put this audio on the podcast for those that listen in on the podcast. They can also hear today and then get to do the homework tonight. Also, for me, evenings are really sacred with my spouse, okay? Like with my husband, that's a time where I transition, and you guys have heard me talk about that a lot, like having a transition trigger between turning off mom mode and then turning on me. Like, let me focus on me now. Let me relax myself. Let me restore and do restoration for my own mind and body and soul. And also let me connect with my husband. Like, let us sit down and be still and connect and sit next to each other. And so I don't want to take that away from you guys with joining into my lives and not being able to apply what we've learned that evening or throughout that day. So whether or not you can show up live, I'm going to be here during the day, first nap of the day, if my kiddo allows me. And then that way you can take what you've learned and then just chew on it all day long and release bits and pieces of practice of it throughout the day with your spouse and with yourself. Sounds good? Hopefully it does. Okay, so today we're going to get into it. Yesterday, we were talking about fulfillment and placing expectations. It was heavy, but it was good. And today we are talking about something else. Today we are talking about accepting and giving love freely. I feel like this was a huge struggle for me in my marriage unknowingly, right? Because you're like, I want love. I want my husband to show me love. I want him to show up for me. I want him to give me things. I want him to show his appreciation for me. I want X, Y, Z, right? So we assume like, I want love. I must, like, receiving it isn't even a thought in our mind about, if it's an issue or not. So I want you to think about if you're on live, say hashtag live or say, hey, if you're watching this replay, hashtag replay, comment like you're watching. I'll be in there checking it, replying back to you. It makes it more fun. And I'll stay awake because, like I said, I've only had 3 hours of sleep. After this is over, I'm going to take a nap. But we're talking about receiving love and giving love freely. And I want you guys to ask yourself,
do you freely receive love, and the things that you are wishing for your husbands to do, like, are you also giving it? So, you want your husband to show up for you in words of affirmation and quality time, but are you showing up for the way that he needs love? Like, we're selfish human beings. It's nature in us that we're this way. We can't help it. But that doesn't mean that we don't like show up for somebody else's needs because our needs aren't met. Now, if there's a fine line here, okay? And this is another rabbit hole that we don't want to go down today, but like if you're in a toxic relationship and your needs are literally never met, either there's a lack of communication or it legitimately is a toxic relationship. And I'm not saying stay in that, but I think that when we dig into this, you're going to be able to navigate through those and see where you fall. And if it's just a lack of communication, to selfish beings in a relationship, which is like, we're human. It's the most common thing, right? Okay. Do compliments make you feel selfish and afraid to be intimate or vulnerable? Like, give me a 1 if you're watching this and you're like, oh yes, whenever somebody says, hey, you look great today, or you look nice today, if you guys are listening on the podcast, like, nod your head in your cars. I don't know. Give me an amen out loud. Do you feel like that when somebody's like, hey, like, you look really good today? And you're like, shut up. No, I don't. Who can relate to that? Like, I think we think that these comments are one-off and they're normal and they're a way of us not being selfish or self-consumed, to where we feel like if we say that, like if I say, no, I'm not, shut up, like, you're stupid. It makes it funny. It makes light of it. Also, it makes us feel like we're not self-consumed, right? We assume that if I say this, they'll think that I'm not all about myself. But wrong, okay? Especially if somebody's way of showing love is through words that they speak or gifts that they give, and you're denying them of that all day long. Rejection, 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 rejection. You're denying them of their ability to give gifts. Okay, I have an example. My mom is a gift giver. That's how she shows love, okay? It doesn't matter what it is. She'll gift it, and it's her way of being like, I love you. Because looking back now, and this is the thing that I've learned to do, is looking into how they were raised, who they were raised by, and having that in perspective, okay? And how I was raised. So looking back at my childhood, we weren't a very touchy-feely family. We weren't a very like wordy family. They didn't constantly give me affection and words or love and stuff. It was things. We always went shopping. Like when things went bad, we went shopping. My mom would take me shopping. Okay. So I translate that into, okay, this is her way of showing me that she cares, that she loves me, that she values me, even though it's not necessarily what I need. I didn't need things. I hate clutter. I hate random gifts, okay? I realized this when I was rejecting her things. And I would say, no, I don't need that. Like, I don't want that. No, that's okay. Like, kids don't need it, blah, blah, blah. It would literally make her cry. Like, she would get emotional about it. She would shut down if I didn't accept this form of love and appreciation and intimacy from her. And so now I've learned to accept her way of showing love freely. And if I don't want the thing, I give it away. It's not actually about the gift in of itself. It's about me accepting it. Are you accepting it? When your husband gives you these things, knowing, okay, that it may be not your primary love language that needs to be filled, but he's still trying to show up for you. The fact that he's still trying to show up for you is huge, okay? Like, even if he's missing the mark. Now, does that mean that you just ignore it and don't say anything? No, you take it freely, you appreciate it, you're grateful for it. And then in conversations, you say, hey, like in other conversations, you let them know that you also like to do XYZ. Yesterday, we talked about putting a list on the fridge, if you watch the live, of some ideas. And maybe I'll give you guys a template to print out that says, like, hey babe, in case you were free today, here's a little thing that you can do for me. And then you can fill in all the blanks and, write in all the things. I'll make that for you guys. So if you're listening in, go to the So She Grows Mom Community and get that. I will post it in the Facebook group. But even if it's not our direct primary love language that we need to be filled, they're trying to show up. And the fact that we accept it opens the door for them to be like, oh, like when you do want more things, like when you do want words of affirmation or quality time or this, that, and the other, they're more open to going out of their comfort zone for you, showing up for you because you haven't rejected them. How many times do you want to show up for somebody when they've rejected you? Have you tried to be intimate with your husband and he shuts you down? I know that most of the time we can relate to shutting our husbands down, right? He will stop asking you because he doesn't want to be rejected over and over and over again. Man, I just went off, guys. So do compliments make you feel selfish, afraid to be intimate, vulnerable, right? Do we have fear of rejection, judgment, abandonment, things that we carry from our past, being taught to put others first because we're in a toxic relationship? It's about them. It's about them. I can't think about myself. I always have to serve them. How are they doing? Right? Because this isn't just a one-way street. This is a two-way street, right? Freely giving love and freely accepting love. Feeling like strings are attached to their affection. This is a huge one. Your assumption that by them doing something, you have to reciprocate that something. The pressure to reciprocate will tear a marriage apart because one, we stress about how to respond. We guilt ourselves if we don't respond. Like we just spiral into a ball of negative emotions based on this feeling that we have to reciprocate somebody's actions. The pressure is like just insane. When somebody offers you love, you don't have to do anything. Like, so feel that freedom. You literally do not have to do anything. Stop stressing about how to respond, have the right way to respond. When you show somebody love, like when you gift them something, or even your kids' teachers at school, when you send them something, or when you drop off a meal for a friend, or when you pick up kids for a play date so your friend can do this or that. Like when you show up, are you doing it because you're like, I'm going to do this so that way next week they show up for me somehow because I deserve it? Or when you give your kids love, do you expect the same from them? Should they expect the same from you? I don't understand why we do this thing to ourselves where we teach our kids one thing and we give them the grace and the freedom and understanding, but then ourselves, we like completely take that all away and we act like we don't deserve that same grace, understanding, and freedom to freely give and accept love unconditionally. So most of the time we don't expect anything in return. And it's good that way. That's the way it's supposed to be. Do we have no self-love? Oh, this one breaks my heart, guys. This is something that I struggle with for years. I will say that. Like self-love and expecting, just that word keeps popping up, right? We talked about it on day one. That expectation that somebody else or something else is going to fill this hole of my lack of self-love. No, I have to do that work, not somebody else. That's on me. If we don't have any love for ourselves, it's hard to accept it. So if you're the type of person that's like talking down to yourself, you're putting yourself down constantly, you're negating compliments, you're telling people that they're wrong when they compliment you, you're telling people, like, that's you. That's all you. They're telling you what they see and you still don't believe it, right? Like you look in the mirror and you see one thing, but they're telling you that you're an amazing mother. They're telling you that you're beautiful. They're telling you, like, what is it going to take for you to believe that? Hopefully hearing me say this, like, believe it. I believe it in you. It literally is all in your mind. It's not valid. Nobody's telling you that but yourself. Fake news. It's lies. So what do we do with all this? We have to think of love as a way of acting instead of feeling. Okay, if you stop getting that, that song, if you stop, what is it? Can't stop that love and feeling. Y'all, I'm not a singer, okay? But oh, that love, you know that song? That's like an old song. Anyways, I don't know who sings. But if you start thinking of a feeling like, no, let me retrace my words now. That threw me off. If you stop getting that loving feeling because you think it's a feeling, then once it stops coming in, you're going to stop dishing it out, right? Like, we'll change our actions, our feelings, our behaviors, because all of a sudden, we don't feel loved. Like, you always hear people say that, we fell out of love. No, honey, you just stopped showing up. It makes love conditional. Marriage is not conditional. If it was, there'd be thousands, like hundreds of thousands more divorced couples than there already are. If we made love conditional, like, hey, I'll be here if you do XYZ. If you don't, peace out. If your love is not based on something somebody says or something somebody does, then it's unconditional. So what do we do with what we know about our spouse? I think this ties in because I used to create friendship circles, and tell me if you guys can relate. Hand emoji, nod your head in the car, get in the group, comment later. If you had circles where you didn't know what to say, like you guys didn't have any common denominators except talking about your husbands, bashing them. Y'all, I used to be the odd man out because I would sit quietly. I don't need somebody else to give their unfiltered opinion about my marriage or my husband. And it subconsciously affect me. Because if I put it out there, then they're going to respond. Your girls want to lift you up. Your tribe wants to empower you. They want to be your friend. And so you have a little powwow about your spouses and you say, oh my gosh, he didn't do this or blah. Like, oh my gosh, yeah, he never does. Da, 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 da. And they're going to back you up, girl, because they're there to support you. They're your cheerleaders. So they're saying what they think you need to hear. Instead, it becomes a husband bashing party. And all you're doing is disrespecting your spouse, taking away the opportunity for them to be a human, have faults, be imperfect, to also heal those wounds and heal those short fallings, because now you've put it out in the world. Have you ever been able to unsee a person some way after you've already seen him some way? It's super hard. So when you are telling your friends about your husband and his shortcomings, then now your husband assumes that they know that you've told him all these things, and now he doesn't want to show up for you because you're going to tell all these things. You're going to make him feel less than constantly, even when he tries. It's going to be made fun of, even when he tries. Right? Do you tease your spouse with hurtful words? One of the biggest things for men, hands down, the way that they feel loved is through respect. So how we translate love is completely different. How we translate respect sometimes is completely different. But I guarantee if you ask your husband right now, if you talk about your friends, if you talk about him to your friends, how does that make him feel? He's going to say disrespected. Do you tease your spouse with hurtful words in front of other people? Putting your spouse down. Y'all, like, giving love and accepting love freely. Treat your spouse the way you would want to be treated. How PO'd would you be if you showed up to your kid's t-ball game mid-sentence of your husband bashing you? You'd lose your lid, right? Like, you would lose your mind. You'd go nuts. Like, what is it? It's not Snapped. That's it. It'd be like on an episode of Snapped. Do you withhold your love until your spouse fulfills certain expectations? That is conditional love. That's saying, if you don't do this, you don't meet these things, I'm not going to do anything for you. If you said yes to any of these things, then you are practicing conditional love. Conditional love will only cause both people to look for his or own way instead of giving each other grace and love. So the biggest thing I want you guys to walk away with today is to think about, what can I do for you? Not you and me. What can you do for your spouse today? What can I do for you? That asking your spouse that question, for one, will surprise them if you don't ask it normally. Two, they'll be like, oh my gosh. Like, well, since you're asking, and I'll start with, could you put the clothes in the laundry for me? Or I'll start with, could you tell me this, that, and the other? Like, it'll start with little small things that, seem like are seamless and don't make any sense. And then it'll turn into, what, you could pray for me today. Or, I would really appreciate it if at the end of the night, we had 5 minutes to just talk. Phones down, talk. Like, it'll start creating open, free relationship to give and accept love. You're giving it without fear of rejection, because your love and self-love should not be found in another person. It should be a bonus that they're giving you these things. Same goes for the opposite direction, right? Like, when you are in a marriage of service and serving the other person, and you wake up and say, how can I serve you? Guaranteed 100% you're going to have a successful marriage, because you're both going to start showing up for each other. It seems very counterintuitive. It seems very like you're the one that's showing up, blah, blah, blah. But if you're communicating and you're actually talking about the things that we're learning here, then it's not just one-sided. Now, if you start showing up without having these conversations about, how you really want to serve them, like giving and accepting love freely, and you're practicing, when they're doing things, the dishes, guys, let me bring the dishes, the clothes, the household chores. You guys want your man to show up more, but also you put him down when he does. Don't put the dishes that way. Oh, this is how you fold it. Don't do that. Oh, don't touch the baby. You have to do it this way. Nope. Y'all, put a sock in your mouth. I don't care. Walk out of the room. Do something. Let them do it their way. Let them figure it out. Let them help. They have to. Otherwise, it's rejection. Just like every time they, try to put a move on you, and you're like, oh, no, headache, got a headache. They're going to stop participating, because you're not allowing them to show up. You're not giving them the grace to figure it out, to mess up. We want that. We have to give that also. We want the ability to say, hey, like, this is awkward. I don't know how to serve you. What should I do? Same way both ways, guys. And it's so hard, right? Because I like things a certain way. I like the dishes a certain way. It makes sense to me. I'm in a place now, if he done is done. If he does it, it's his way, it gets done. I don't care how it gets done. If it has to do with the kiddos, yes, because some of us are home more. We know tricks and hacks and ways to do things that make life easier, get the baby to sleep faster, this, that, and the other. Next time, not mid, chaos or mid way of him helping through. Next time later on, you're like, hey, you handled that pretty well. Like, I know it was hard. Here's a tip. Like, I learned this, that, and the other. I learned that when you put him down this way, he'll sleep longer, blah, blah, blah. Instead of, no, don't do that. You're doing it wrong. Let me do that. Here, let me help you. That is showing that you don't need him. Now, all of a sudden you want him, like, all day long. You're like, I don't need you. I don't need you. I got this. I got this. And then at the same time, you're like, but why aren't you giving me love? Why aren't you showing me appreciation? Why aren't you telling me all these things? It's because he freaking gets shut down every time. I struggle with this so much. That's why I feel so passionately about it, because it took me so long to get this. It took me so long to start actually practicing this, because it did not come natural to me. It does not. I didn't accept love. I didn't know how to. I also didn't know how to give love freely without feeling like there were strings attached. I always assumed I was always on that fight or flight mode of like, oh my gosh, how can I be in one step in front of the other person? If you're just tuning in, you gotta listen to the beginning. It just got hype in here. But yeah, conditional love will only cause people to look for his or own way instead of showing each other with grace and love. So here's your homework tonight. Okay, we're gonna keep this on time. Destiny, where were you earlier? No, I'm just teasing, girl. Here's your homework tonight. Make lists of how you receive love. You're going to make a list. He's going to make a list. On your papers, you are going to have one side of how you receive love. What does love look like to you when you get it? Is it gift giving? Is it through him bringing you home flowers, surprising you with chocolates, bringing lunch to work, Chick-fil-A for dinner, providing, showing up saying, honey, I got dinner covered for you, turn on the oven, I'm bringing home a pizza. And then how do you give love? So one of you all in here gave me this idea to do this. I thought it was genius. Shout out to you. You're awesome. I want you to make both of you. So on both of you should have a sheet of paper with one side of how you give love, the other side of how you receive love. You're going to see that the ways that he's showing up, and do not judge. We're not going to judge. We're not going to comment on it. We're not going to say oh my God, positive responses only. If they're showing up for you in ways, don't look at them and be like, oh my gosh, I can't believe you thought that that's what I needed. All this time you were doing that because you thought that I needed. No. That's another way to shut them down, judge them, and not allow them the grace and freedom to show up for you any other time. On their page, they're going to put stuff like yard work. They're going to put stuff that you didn't even want, but you're going to realize, hey, he has been showing up for me. It's just been this way. And then you guys can talk about it. I think that the homework I gave you guys last night was awesome in putting on the refrigerator a list of, hey, honey, if you have a free moment, and then give them ideas. We don't read, we're not mind readers, especially men. They're not always thinking in this way, right? They're thinking provide, they're just a more grittier mindset, okay? We're a more empathetic mindset the majority of the time. And so we're thinking about, how do I serve? How do I pour out? How do I do this? And most of the time it's at the detriment of ourselves, which again, if we're not loving ourselves, we can't accept and give love freely because we feel resentment. You got to take care of you because, and take the actions instead of putting it on him to send you to the spa. Girl, go to the spa, make an appointment. Don't wait for him to do it for you, because then it becomes a resentment that, why hasn't he done this for me? I need this. Why hasn't he showed up for me this way? I need it. Go do it. Take care of it. Let him show up for you in other ways. If you know that you need sleep, if you know that you want, makeup, certain brands to make you feel good, if you want to pamper yourself, do it. You have to self-love before you can give it and receive it freely. Okay, so what are we going to do? We're going to make a list. And if you are pumped about what we're doing in here, I hope you guys are having these conversations. You're seeing some doors kind of open. It's not going to be easy. It's going to be painful, right? Okay. I want you to show up every day in the Facebook group, share what's going on, share your wins, share the hard things, and tell us about it. And if you guys are wanting to do more, at the end of this week, we're going to keep doing 15 minutes every day. Okay, I'm going to show up for you at 9:30, 9:45. I'll let you know. 9:45, I'm aiming towards every day. 15 minutes. I'm going to say a little something. You're going to have a homework. Last night's homework, if you haven't checked it out, go listen to the video, go listen to the audio, do that, work on that, chew on that. Today's homework is easy. I feel like you guys can make lists together. It takes 5 minutes. Talk about it. Maybe you'll see some ways that they were showing up for you that you didn't know you had. And then after this week, we are going to be jumping into a So She Grows marriage series transformation workshop, which is even more in depth than what we're doing today, which I felt like I was not showing up for you guys completely, because I'm how can we get into all this stuff? There's so much to unpack, and we're going to be going over 30 days together. So after Friday, you're going to have the opportunity to sign up for the So She Grows Marriage Series Transformation Workshop. It's going to be awesome. We're going to get into the Facebook group. We're going to be 30 days so that you can be seen, heard, appreciated in your marriage.
Hey guys, I hope you enjoyed day 2 of the Couples Love Language Challenge. If you are doing the homework and you are applying some of the things that we're learning, even one thing a day, and you're using it in your marriage, you're going to see some changes. You're going to see some good transformation. I'm so excited. I want you to hop into the So She Grows Mom community, share those wins with you, share the struggles with, the things that I'm asking you to do. Also, have some conversation with me. Maybe there's some things that I said that don't sit right with you, and I want to talk about it because sometimes I'm trying to get all this information out and it comes out the wrong way, or I didn't give enough context, and we need to, it's not like we're sitting down one-on-one. It's hard to have these deep, connecting conversations via the podcast sometimes because there's nuances that we can do back and forth that we can't do over, you listening to your earpods. But what I was talking about just now as this, recording ended was, if you're ready to transform your marriage from the inside out, partner with God to grow as a wife and experience fulfillment in your marriage, fruitfulness in your marriage. If you can hear all that crinkling, that is my toddler. But So She Grows Marriage Series Transformation Workshop is for you. 30-day group coaching experience with me and other mamas who want to do the same thing for their marriages. We're all in the same place. It's going to be a super safe place. This is a 30-day workshop, one time only, limited registration available. It's one time only because if it goes well, and I know it is because we all need this. This is an area that I feel like we just really want to thrive in and we don't know how. I want to show up for you guys live so we can have those conversations, that back and forth. And so we are going to walk through the 4 C's of marriage transformation: compromise, communication, connection, and cultivation, which is, if your marriage is bearing fruit or not. Is it thriving or not? I want you to experience the fruitfulness and the favor that God has in store for your marriage. I feel like that is what it's supposed to be like. If you're tired of feeling unseen, unheard, and unappreciated, this workshop will be for you. And if you're ready to do the work, show up, and deepen your marriage in a new, fun, and exciting way, I'm so here for it. I will be sharing more with you guys throughout this week as we go on, a little bit more about it each day. And then on Friday, I'll let you know how you can get in on it, right? How we can start to really deepen our marriages and bear fruit. So that is today. I hope you guys have an awesome day. Please apply these things that we're learning. Get in the Facebook group. Talk to me about the stuff that you're going through. Let's come together as a community. You have the support. We are here. Take advantage of it, okay? All right, guys, have an awesome day.